Team news pumped straight into your lineup. No more hours of trawling Twitter or team pages for your lineups. Especially crucial if you have multiple leagues. Starting, bench, out. It's all here in your lineup. Searching for a player to start? Now you can search by starting player. No more cross-referencing player team sheets and Twitter with who's available in your league. It is right here under this filter. For you next level managers out there, total points only tells half the story. Average points per game is a much truer gauge of a player's performance, and now you have that right at your fingertips alongside the player in the player hub. But now for the game changer, the form stat. Selected from this pull down, who is hot right now? We look at the points output for the last 3 game weeks and take the guesswork out of selecting a player. A great example is who is the player in form after the 10 weeks of Premier Rugby season, and it's James Short, 33.6 average. He is nowhere to be seen in the total points. He is completely buried because he's only played a few games. He's nowhere on, at least on the front page. Go to form, he's the top of that list. Genuine game changer.
Average points per minute can be found in the same spot in your stats pull down, selected here. Just a little point to note, we've added the times 80 just to make it into a figure that looks a little bit more relative so that it makes sense to you. That times 80 means if they'd played 80 minutes, this is what their average points would be. And it's very, very useful to be used in combination with average points per game. But it tells you a little bit of a different story. So for instance, you can see that Cooper Vuna here, 25.3 average points per minute. Very, very strong. If you enter his average points per game, you're not going to see him on this list. And that was because he came on late and also because he was used as a substitution quite a lot. So very, very useful in pre-season to be able to say, okay, we think Cooper Vuna might nail down a Bath starting position. He's a really great pick. And you will not find him anywhere in the total points, and he's really, really low down in the average points per game as well. So it just teases that player a little bit higher up and gives you that little bit more extra value. On top of pre-season, you can also use it in season. So it's very, very valuable if you've got an injury to a certain player and a suspension to a certain player, and you've got a guy that's coming off the bench, or you think a guy that's going to be promoted into the starting lineup. You can get a step on all of your league mates if you know exactly what his points per minute is if he comes on and he looks like he's going to get a starting position. So really, really interesting statistic there to be used in pre-season when there are changes abound, someone's shifted out of a club, or someone might be promoted into a starting lineup, or a shift of coach or something like that, and also for an in-season analysis to be able to take a look at who's coming in off injury and suspension. Average draft position, or ADP as it's more commonly known, is the average position that a player has been drafted in all of the leagues that is drafted thus far. So you can see at the top here, Saracens front row, position average 1.3. So most leagues are drafting Saracens front row first overall. Point to note here, rankings aren't the same as ADP. You may not reach for that second fly half until the mid-late rounds, whereas we probably rank second fly half or the number 11-12 fly half somewhere around about that kind of 40s 50s mark. So they are separate beasts, just to be aware. Now this stat can be used in conjunction with all the other stats we're going to talk about with ADP, but certainly just the raw stat gives you a feel about when a player is going to be drafted with all your league mates. So you can see and have a really good idea about where a player might come or where a player might be drafted. ADP change from default is defined as the change in average draft position from the very first draft of the season to today. So you can see Jack Noel, top of that list, 19.3 points, or he's risen 19.3 places in average draft position. Won't get into exactly why that is, but it's very, very useful stat, more than just your average draft position, because you can see player movements. Use this as your research. It really gives a good sense of all of the people that have drafted thus far that have already done the research about players and who's good, who's not, and you can slowly see really important trends coming through. ADP Change plus or minus 7 days just looks back literally 7 days from today to tell you what player movements have happened. So you can see here for outside backs plus or minus 7 days we have Santiago Cordero, interestingly enough, another Exeter player. And you can flip that on its head as well and see who's falling in the last 7 days, and it's Alex Cuthbert. Geez, a lot of movement in the Exeter team. But yeah, as you can see, this gives you a little bit more of a recency on some of these trends and just looks back 7 days. ATP Change plus or minus 7 days to be used with all of the other ATP statistics that we've provided in Manager Pro, and gives you a really powerful view on all of the leagues that have drafted thus far to see what's trending, to really have a look at see which players you should focus on and which players you should ignore.
Don't fall behind your league mates. You know they've purchased Pro behind your back. Sign up today at fantasyrugbydraft.com/managerpro, where winning is everything.